Good morning, everyone. This is Kathy Mason from MasonWorks Marketing here on Conscious Business Zone with my friend Jeff Cloud. Hi, Jeff.
Hey, great to see you again. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.
Me too. I am always so happy to learn from you and to really get an idea of how you see all the changes that are going on in the world and how we can navigate these changing times with more love and joy. And people have called it ascension. So your title is Keys for Ascending into Higher Times. And that's what we mean is higher, happier, more joyful, higher vibration times, right?
Yeah, timelines is kind of the word that's popped up in the last couple of years. And there's people that are, there's talk of a timeline split where people that understand or are learning or awakening to the fact that they are creating everything in their reality. You've got kind of two different camps, the camps that are judging and, projecting and getting triggered and pointing out everything that's wrong out there, not realizing that what's out there is actually a mirror of what's in here. And that can bring up a lot of questions such as, well, I'm not the one bombing and, sacrificing children and all this horrible stuff. No, but the collective has that in its history. And there's a good possibility that since we are eternal, that we may have been a thief or a rapist or a murderer. I know nobody likes to think about it or whatever, but the bottom line is we're here at probably one of the most exciting times ever. And right now, things are accelerating and speeding up. People are coming together more than ever. And then there's people that their stuff is coming up for them to look at. But unfortunately, in a lot of cases, we were not taught how to heal and how to go in and clear wounds and trauma, which everybody has. Let's face it, there's no shame. Anybody that's here right now that's listening to this is a hero. You chose to come here, whether you remember it or not. You agreed to everything that's happened as part of your soul contract, which is that can be another triggering moment. And I'll be happy to explain some of that, because when somebody told me that 20 or 30 years ago, I was like, there's no way I would have ever chosen this amount of pain and suffering. And I hung on to that story for a couple decades. And when that didn't work and everything kept showing up again to get me to awaken through pain, I was like, maybe I better go a little bit deeper here. And then when I realized that I was creating my reality and everything that I was holding within was being mirrored back to me, then I started to get real serious about, okay, how do I create my reality with my thoughts, my words, my intentions, my frequency and vibration? How do I accept 100% responsibility for everything that's showing up in my reality? And then how do I go in and clear and heal any remaining wounds and trauma, which may be mine, or they may be part of my family lineage, or they might be part of the collective. But the first invitation is to go in and look at our own stuff. And that is the doorway to our freedom and our healing, and beginning to magnetize and attract so much good stuff into our reality and begin to really have some fun. So we're at an incredible time right now. And yes, there's a lot being exposed. It's always been going on. It's just now that it's coming into the light. So
you've been talking about this stuff ever since I met you. And your book, you've written a book called Waking Up in the Dream, a powerful guide to inner healing, dismantling limiting beliefs, raising one's conscious awareness, and manifesting from a truly unlimited mindset. And I think that book could help so many people right now. There's sensitives that are starting to wake up that may have been still in the programs that we all grew up in, and they still may have find comfort in that. But once they start waking up in the dream and realize that they can be the artist that changes the storyline, that there's several different, I think, experiences people have. Some people get angry about it. Some people get very sad about it. Some people get almost egotistical about their spiritualness. So could you talk a little bit about this waking up in the dream process that you've created that helps so many people?
Sure. Thank you for mentioning the book. I never planned on writing a book. I don't have any credentials for, being an author or anything. The book came about as a result of notes and reminders to Jeff, to self. And I studied with some people, when I finally began to take responsibility for, am I really creating all this? Is what they say really true? It seems like things are just happening. And, so when I started digging deeper, some people call it the rabbit hole, looking within, whatever, I started buying a lot of the top bestseller books on manifesting money and Think and Grow Rich and Wallace Wattles and, so many books. And then, I bought some wonderful books from, Don Miguel Ruiz was one of my mentors for a long time in San Diego, Byron Katie, Lover, Marianne Williamson. And I would go and I would read these books and I'd read them and I'd go, that's really good. That's really good. That's really good. But then it would wear off and the changes were not happening with me. And I was like, why aren't things changing when what I read felt really good? And it's because, and it's not that I didn't learn anything from these other books or these other teachers. We're all bringing our gifts in our own unique ways. And some people might resonate with me and I might trigger some people because I'm really like, I don't take a long time with my clients or my groups or anything to get to the root. You can get on a call with me or do a session and within 5 to 10 minutes, I have developed a skill set to show you right where to go. And I don't say that with an ego. It's just that I focus on this stuff all day, every day, pretty much. And so what I did was I realized you could have an aha moment and go, okay, I just had a trigger or I just had a judgment. That's my stuff. The first thing is being willing to really look at your stuff, because the great thing about part of my soul contract was when I was 7 years young and my father passed away in a plane crash, my mother took the insurance money that she received from my dad's policy, and she intended to put me into the best school so I could get the best learning, because now I don't have a dad and I'm growing up with 3 women, 1 older sister, 1 younger sister, and I was in the middle. And that was a pretty intense soul contract that I chose, but there were many gifts, as there always are. Well, anyway, my mother put me into private Catholic schools with angry, I'll just be blunt, pissed off nuns. And every single day was Judgment Day. And myself and my best friend, who's my longest friend on the planet, Mike Shoy, that I met when I was living in Cincinnati. I was born in Ohio, but I spent the majority of after I was a teenager, growing up in San Diego, California. Well, Mike and I were straight A and B students, but we were always in trouble in this private Catholic school for one reason, and one reason only, which has been my saving grace, because I always questioned everything. And they didn't like that. So we were always in trouble. But in private Catholic school, every day was Judgment Day. Even if you were a straight A and B student, you were being judged, stand in the corner, you're in trouble. And then they teach in the Catholic religion that you'll be lucky if you get into heaven on which day? Judgment Day. So there's all this fear that got woven into religion, and it all got manipulated. And, if it works for you, great. But for me, I saw when I went into the church, because I was also an altar boy in the Catholic Church. So I was, going through the motions and wearing the thing at church and, sitting up there with the priest, and a lot of energies around this and the Pope. And I just, I figured out a lot of things about how they controlled people and how they get you to give your power away to something outside of yourself. And praying, and a lot of religions do this. I'm in Thailand right now, and it's Buddhist, and the people are really sweet here, but you'll see them at the temples just hoping that the Buddha is going to throw them a bone, or, and that's not true self-empowerment. So what I did was, in my book, which is very easy to read, you could actually read this book in a day. Look how big the type is. It's not a long read. You could go through this in a day, but the goal isn't to go through it in a day and just go, yeah, that sounded really good. What I did was I created a daily tracking sheet which walks you step by step by step through the process, from as soon as you wake up in the morning to consciously and intentionally creating your reality. The majority of people wake up and they go, well, I hope it's going to be a really good day. That's not the way to program your reality. And I have a chapter in the book on 9 of the most used spell words to eliminate, that even the most spiritual people use over and over and over in conversations. And those 9 words are want, wish, hope, need, try, should, going to, hard, and difficult. And all 9 of those words give your subconscious one of 2 instructions. The first 7 give your subconscious the exact instruction that your desire is still not here yet. And then the other 2 words, hard and difficult, well, those give it the instruction to make sure that whatever I experience or whatever I do, whether it's manifesting money or attracting the right relationship or whatever, make sure it's hard or difficult. Because the subconscious can only take a direct order. Your desire is either here now or it's not. So when you go through this process, there's another great part of this process where you start to track every judgment, every less than thought, every low vibrational trigger, every automatic reaction that doesn't come from love, joy, gratitude, compassion, or excitement, my favorite word. Then what you do is you get this magical tool, and you begin to keep track of how many times you have a judgment and a trigger and a less than thought and a fear-based thought and a shameful thought. And you begin to see them over and over. Because here's the key to healing, expanding your conscious awareness, and moving into higher frequency timelines. You cannot dismantle or clear a wound or a limiting belief unless you can see it and identify it. Once you can see it, now you're putting your awareness on it. And if you're willing to go deeper, where there's a spot on here, what came up for you today? What were your triggers, emotions, or aha moments? When you begin to use this for even a short 30 days, you're going to start shifting your awareness so fast. And my goal is, I'm in the process of turning this into a book for children. Because teenagers have gone through the course with their parents, and they get it. There's nothing hard or difficult about the steps in here. It's very, very simple. And so the goal is to teach children how to manifest their desired reality. They already have an incredible imagination, and what the public school system does is, it was created by Rockefellers. They specifically, their intention was make sure to squash that imagination as soon as possible out of the gate, and then teach children what to think instead of how to think. sit down, shut up, and listen to this teacher that we've appointed, that we've indoctrinated into teaching you only what we desire for you to learn. All the books have been manipulated. All the history has been hidden. That's coming out now. And so here's the great thing, because people are all into great news right now. And hey, it might be intense right now. People are tired. People are getting triggered. But here's the great news. This stuff that's all been hidden is being brought into the light, and it's happening at a very accelerated pace. So, yes, things might feel a little bit intense, but you are here at the most exciting time that we know of in recorded history, or one of them. And things are going to be revealed, and people are going to be shocked. But you know what? People need to wake up to what's been done to us and how things have been inverted through the money system, through what they're doing to the children, the trafficking, the sacrificing of children, pedophilia. We have to shine the light on this. If you don't want to look at something that has been controlling society and keeping them enslaved, then that's a vote for further enslavement.
Well, I don't know. It's again the opportunity is to have personal freedom that'll create a different what you do inside creates a different outside. And all of us have most of us have been incarnated here for so many years. Like you said, we cannot point a finger at someone else and see something without us having it.
Absolutely.
That's one finger that way and three fingers going back this way. So that once you realize that, it's an unending experience. And there is a way to have gratitude for that, because it's every time something shows up, rather than, oh God, here it is again, you can say, oh, thank you. I missed a spot, right?
What a beautiful segue. Yeah, because this process teaches when you have the trigger, you stop. I mean, if you're driving your car, you're doing something, you may have to come back to it later, but you stop and you go, okay, I just had a less than thought, a judgment, a trigger, a projection. You stop and you go, what is the gift here?
Right.
And you ask, in a longer version of that, which is a little deeper, is what is this trying to show me or teach me about me?
That's right.
It's never about the other person. Unless somebody's physically abusing you or assaulting you, then get out of that situation. But everybody that shows up, especially those that you judge or that may trigger you, they're bringing you a gift.
Well,
if you get that gift, then it doesn't have to show up again. But if you don't get it, then it'll keep showing up.
I want to give an example. I have somebody that drives me nuts. That I was at a function at somebody else's house that we do drumming or we do a meditation, and then we share food. And this person, I was able to sit and listen and experience for about 15 minutes, which was 15 minutes more than I ever have before. But then I couldn't do it any longer. And I decided I really don't like to have to do it at all. But that is something I know I have to work on. You can only hide from it for so long, right? Because freedom is freedom from it's forgiveness for yourself and others, because you are the others.
And there's a couple different pieces to this. There is forgiveness, and there's also, what is the gift that this person is bringing me? But there's also boundaries too.
Yeah.
And it's okay to cut somebody off. However, if you really want to heal and grow and not have to re-experience that, you first have to go, is this something within me, or is this something that this other person hasn't cleared? And the untrained ego will usually want to blame it on the person in the external instead of going, this is my shit. And it's
Well,
time to look.
in some cases, what will happen is it'll be a trigger a remembrance of an interaction with a family member or someone from childhood that they remind you of it, or that ego protection is gets flared, so your superpowers show up. You've got your shields up, and I was proud of myself. I made it that long, because that's in years. That was the first. But I still tried to. I prefer to not even put myself in that, because I guess what this whole I'm feeling that this whole time period, it is so important to keep focusing on what you want to create. In my experience, the shields, the veils, the frequency differentials from dimension or densities are way fluid right now. And so I'd much rather put all of my energy on what I do want rather than the protection from what I don't want, which helps create it.
Yeah. You don't need to be worried about being protected. That's actually lowering your frequency with that thought that you need to be protected, that might bring that timeline. Think of every one of those dots as a timeline, because everything you can think of is happening right now all at the same time, which is too much for this mind to handle, which is why things are slowed down here. But one of the things that I invite people to do, and I talk about in the book and the course, is becoming the calm, conscious observer.
Mm-hmm.
Observing without having to label everything, because that's what the mind does. There's kind of two camps right now and two timelines. There's the conscious observers that are people that are going, yeah, there's things to heal for myself and the collective. There's always programs running, no matter what. As long as we're in a human body, there's going to be a program running, whether it's a program of love. I still get triggered. I get triggered when I see children being harmed. I even get triggered by mosquitoes in Thailand because they're so tiny that you don't even see them. They're not like in California where they're this big and you can get them. These are so tiny, and when they bite you, you could have a welt that itches for days, even if you put neem oil or the best natural. So I still get triggered about certain things. However, I can feel it immediately because I've taught myself to catch this stuff. So when you begin to play, keyword play, in this field of accountability and set your intention to, I attract the most incredible people and situations into my reality. I'm surrounded by abundance. Most people focus on money is what abundance means. That's a never-ending thing to chase. And I realized that because I grew up without a lot of money. I grew up in a family with women, and, there wasn't a lot of money. And so I used to read all the books on money. And then when I started to make more money and got better at manifesting and attracting abundance, then I realized the more that I had, the more I felt like I had to protect it. And there was an energy to having more that wasn't so comfortable. And majority of really super wealthy people that I've come across, they're not super happy. So now I focus on, I look around and I've got a great place to live. I've got a microphone. I've got guitars. I've got Tibetan bowls. I've got food. I've got doggies all around me. I live in beautiful nature. Everywhere I look, there's papayas and mangoes and pineapples, and just Thailand is just pushing out abundance. I mean, the whole planet is, but Thailand is really alive with abundance. And so I just go, everything that I ever need is taken care of.
Oh, that's so cool. So why don't we share a little bit about you moving to Thailand, because you were here. Well, no, I
Sure.
remember when you moved. I have another friend, Malcolm Watson, who's a He's called the Barefoot Violinist. He moved to Thailand too. I don't know where
Really?
he was here in Colorado, and he had to keep on oxygen because of the altitude. And so he
Right.
said, forget it. I'm going to Thailand. So
Wow.
yeah. So I'll try to get you. You'll love him. Oh, wow. He played, he would always wear a white tux and play barefoot. And he played for Deepak Chopra as an opening. That guy's amazing.
I love the frequency of the violin. It's one of my favorite. Gives me goosebumps.
Well,
so the reason I smiled when you brought up Thailand is not because I didn't want to talk about it. It's just because it was such a pivotal lesson in letting go.
Okay.
Because maybe some people know, maybe they don't. I've been a recording engineer since I was a teenager. And I had 5 different recording studios in San Diego, not all at the same time, but 5 different versions. And I lived in all of them. And that was because I got out of the 9-to-5 system in my late 20s, because I was a high output person at every job I had. And they would just squeeze more out of me and more out of me, and it was never enough. And so in one of the jobs, I got carpal tunnel from typing so much I had to leave that. So I went on workman's comp. And then another job, I was in an advertising agency. And there was this dangling carrot that if you just work 18 hours a day for the first, year, you could be making 6 figures. And so I started working 18 hours a day, 6 days a week. And then I ended up getting shingles on my chest, and these things broke out, and these wounds and I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? So I went to the doctor, and he goes, oh, you've been under a little bit of stress? And I didn't even know what it was. But anyway, I got out of that job. I ended up creating a recording studio with one other person, and we went in and set it up and built the walls and glassed it in and, put the alarm system in and did the rewired the building so it was clean electricity, and built the control room and the live room. And then this gentleman met a woman after 3 months, and he sent me a message one day, and he goes, I'm leaving, I'm bailing. And I'm like, what? Wait, I can't afford this on my own. You got to stay in. And he goes, nope, I'm out. So I had the decision to make of either losing all the money I invested in the recording studio, or moving out of the place that I was renting in Encinitas where I was living. And I'm like, I got to pursue my dream. So I moved into my recording studio. I slept on a mattress every single night that I would flip up against the wall and put a beautiful tapestry on, and then stack guitar cases. When you walked into my studio, people would walk in and go, wow. Because at the time in the beginning, I didn't have all the gear that I have now, but I had a sacred altar in there with crystals. I had custom lighting. I had a mirror ball where the whole room would spin if you wanted to. And you would walk in and you'd just go, this is a very creative space. So I lived in my studio, and I did that for about 27 years. And then of 5 different studios. That's how I built up all my gear from originally I had 1 microphone and 1 tiny little mixing board. Now I've got in storage in San Diego 30 of the finest microphones, 16, 17 the finest guitars on the planet, keyboards, basses, djembes, stuff that I've even forgotten about that I will be coming back to San Diego sometime this year for the first time in 8 years to liquidate and do whatever I'm going to do with the gear. But what happened was I was living in my last studio in Oceanside, and I was in a 3-bedroom, 2-story house, and I wasn't doing drums anymore. So I just had this really nice living room that was vibed out for people to come in and record in. Well, we had a freak flooding accident, and a pipe broke underneath the foundation, and it flooded the carpet and the walls, which in California are stucco. So I was out of business for 6 months. I had construction people in there 6 days a week, so I couldn't make any money. So to make a long story short, after everything was fixed, my landlord sent me a message and said, we love you. You're the best tenant we've ever had, but we lost money from the insurance company. So we're going to move back in at the end of December, which gave me a 34-day notice to find another place to live. During December, Christmas, everything's going on. And it was like, boom. And so I attempted to begin to sell things on Craigslist, and I put them for a low price. And then people even offered me like half of that. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. So I called two of my friends. You might know Doug DeStefano. Do you know Doug DeStefano? Okay. He does a lot of the events at Seaside Church.
Oh, cool.
And he's involved in those big events that are up in Holy Festival. I don't remember.
Okay.
But it's not. Anyway, I told him, come get everything. So I gave away everything I owned, and all I kept was my clothes and all my recording gear. And
Wow.
so I went up to Napa, California to live with my sister because I didn't have anywhere to live. So she goes, Jeffy, just come up here and live with us. We got a free room. You can stay with us. It was a great time with my sister because I moved out on my own pretty early.
Yeah.
Before I turned 17. So anyway, to make a long story short, or shorter, I was living in Napa. There's nothing to do in Napa but work in a winery or work online. So I met a girl on Facebook that lived outside of Bangkok. We started Skyping and doing video calls, and we thought we were soulmates. And she's like, look, just come to Thailand. If it doesn't work out between us, Thailand's really great. And I'm like, oh, it'll work out. We're soulmates. So because of that, and I was in love, I came to Thailand with only $650 to my name.
Oh my God.
No backup, no other savings, no plan, no income, nothing. And our relationship was over in about 2 weeks.
Oh no. Oh.
But
Well,
we're still friends to this day. Here's why it ended the way it did, was because she was courageous enough to have me come and live in her little tiny apartment. And I didn't know anybody else. I didn't have anywhere to go. So we were in each other's space all day long, every day. And it was too intense. We both still had things to clear. And, finally she was just like, you can't stay here anymore. And so the beauty of it was I had nothing to come back to in California. There was no way that I was going to start another recording studio. I'd already been in it during the best years, the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. So it was like, okay, what am I going to do? And so Facebook to the rescue again. I ran into one of my friends that was traveling the world with her dowsing rods and stuff. And she goes, what are you doing? And I go, I don't know, but I'm in Thailand and my relationship just fell apart. She goes, Thailand, you need to meet my friend Kenny. Kenny lives in Chiang Mai. I'd never even heard of Chiang Mai. I was like, you mean Shanghai? I didn't even know the difference between Thailand and China. I didn't know. I didn't do any research. It didn't matter. I just followed my heart. So I get on a call with Kenny. Kenny goes, yeah, Chiang Mai, it's a digital nomad capital. And people speak English, and they got great restaurants, and there's some awake people here. And then he said the magic sentence. This was in 2016, 8 years ago. He said, I can get you an apartment in the building that I'm living in for $150 a month.
Oh my God.
I said, you mean $1,500, right? Because that's the cheapest apartment in San Diego. I don't know what they are now in 2025, 26. Anyway, so 2 days later, I'm on a 12-hour train with 2 suitcases, one with a broken wheel. I wanted to throw it off a cliff, but it had my mixing board and the only microphone that I brought with me out of my collection. And I brought my beautiful
guitar.
The only one that
wow.
I brought with me.
It's beautiful.
It is. It is. And so I came to Chiang Mai. I bought a bicycle, a yellow bike with a basket on the front, and I just started riding around the moat, which is this canal that runs around the old city of Chiang Mai. And I just started meeting people because I'm making eye contact with everybody. And I went to the juice bars and certain restaurants, and that's where I met all these expats that came over to Thailand. And so I finished the book, and I launched my course, and it's been like beyond anything I could have thought. I've been connecting and taking people through this process from all over the world, and it's been incredible. And I've got a new group that I'm just launching in the first week of July called Next Level Manifestation Think Tank, which is going to be a combination of all the groups I've done over the last 10 years. But this one is going to be different in that we're going to learn the tools from the book and the course, because everybody needs to understand how to do the inner clearing of the distortions and how to consciously and intentionally create your reality from an unlimited standpoint.
Perfect.
We blow that tiny little belief system out of the water, because most people have this belief system, and if anything challenges that or touches on an unhealed wound or trauma, they have an automatic reaction. They automatically react because their body gets triggered. And so once you see that program running, though, you go, oh, that's how they get everybody.
Yep. Yep.
And then once you see that program, you go, oh, okay.
Well,
so
the thing is, we were brought up with a lot of these cultural programs. It isn't just religion. It isn't just government. It's our families wanted to keep us safe. And we were, our age group, we were a reflection on our parents. So a lot of that stuff had to go. And a lot of that, that's where I wanted to hear some more about the freedom that what you do, because if you could give examples of people without saying their names of transformations that they had, because I don't want people to be afraid to do this work. I think this is the most fantastic opportunity for people to release suffering that may not have ever been theirs. So they adopted it because they thought that was appropriate, but it may never have been theirs. It was a storyline, a mime, or whatever you want to call it. And so could you talk a little bit about that so we could ease anyone's fear about
that is such another great question and segue. You can see my smile because I love taking people through this process, because you can actually have a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Yes, when I get on a call, the first call with somebody, there might be some tears. I journey with people that have been raped and, you know, their mom was alcoholic and their spouse was abused. Okay, well, why did I choose that? Okay, just having the courage or the awareness to say, why would I have chosen that? Of course, you don't remember choosing that as part of your soul contract. Maybe you do. I don't remember any of it. But my get out of hell free card is, why did I choose that? What is the gift here? And yes, there's some tears. And I'm usually the first one to start crying, because I can see the client on the video trying to hold it back. And I already know it's coming because I know which questions to ask. And so once I do it, then they do it. We do it together, and it releases so much of what somebody's been holding on to. Then from there, it's just like, wow, what a relief. What a relief. So people, there's testimonials, which, I mean, there's so much marketing and stuff now that I don't even know if anybody ever reads the testimonials. They kind of go like this. Some of them go, I thought I was awake. But, you know, the majority of people that claim they're awake, you know what that means? They're aware that the government's pretty much lied to them about everything in the school system, in the medical system. That's just scratching the surface. And not to like, I never, ever say I'm above anybody. Because one of my mantras is that keeps me out of hell is, I know nothing. That way, I'm always open to learn something else. And my client, I don't even like calling them clients or students. They're my greatest teachers. They're my greatest teachers. And I learn something from every single one of them. So a typical testimonial is, I thought I was awake, but when I started using these tools and the tracking sheet and the clicker, I realized, holy smoke, I'm reacting all day long with judgments and reactions. And, we're running 50 to 80,000 thoughts a day. And studies show that the majority of 80% of those thoughts are negative until you begin to see the automatics. I call them they're the automatics, and they're just running. And again, like I said earlier, you cannot dismantle them unless you can see them. So just the willingness to begin to look at your stuff and use this simple step-by-step sheet, you just start going, oh my God, everybody's running programs. And at first it'll shock you, but it will free you so quickly, because here's the one thing I really desire to impart on people. It's not difficult to heal or to clear things. All you have to be willing to do is go, I'm willing to look at it. This is what I'm holding within. I don't know maybe where it came from, or I know where it came from and I'm really pissed off about it. And just go, okay, well, what is the gift? What can you take away from that? From choosing to have an alcoholic father or mother or an abusive whatever, what can you take away from that you can end up clearing and then holding a wonderful frequency for other people in the collective? What's the gift? It's not, my dad screwed me over and I'm pissed off for the next 40, 60, 80 years. No, that's not why you came here. Why you came here is to go, this is my story, but I can clear this. And it has a silver lining, and I can help and assist other people that have gone through similar things. That's the hero's journey.
Exactly.
That's like,
exactly.
How can I turn around what happened to me into a total win-win where I'm like, oh my God, that's why I chose that. And then you start feeling amazing, which gives me goosebumps, because that's it. That's what I love taking people through, because this is why we chose to come here. Right. It's not to go through hell and then to die and to come back and do it again. No, we have an opportunity in this lifetime more than ever to go, wow, I chose some of the hardest, most difficult stuff. And now I can see why I did that. And wow, I'm really beginning to love myself. I thought it was egotistical to love myself. I'm not loving myself from an ego standpoint. I'm loving myself from my higher self soul perspective that has been guiding me this entire way. And Perfect. Now I see, and I start to attract all these other incredible people into my reality through my frequency and vibration that have been through the same thing. Not the people that are just going, oh, I named myself Carrie Love Light and I'm all about love. And, the majority of those people, and I work with the Palladians. I keep seeing, I don't know if you do, whatever. I know that you do. I'd love to hear more about that. I've reached out to the Palladians, Saint Germain. I love, because purple's my favorite color. I've had this, I got this in Machu Picchu.
I've got all those books.
And, I have all kinds of wonderful frequency tools and things that I use, and I'm into it. But I've reached out to people and I'm like, hey, if you're there and you want to connect, show up. I won't be afraid, as long as you approach me without being negative or trying to control me. But nobody has showed up for me. My guides are humans. Now something could shift. Now here's the gift in that. It used to frustrate me. All these people tell me that they can talk to their guides, and well, I also see people that can't make a decision unless they talk to their guides. So in a way, they're kind of, some of them, not all, are giving their power away. Now, for me, I realized, well, if I'm creating all of this, then are my guides really outside of me? No, they're part of me. So it's really interesting how all this weaves together and how we all use things that resonate with us to empower, heal, and then to uplift and inspire others, which is really the main goal. And realizing that everybody's our mirror. especially those that trigger us. So when people talk about, what about all these people that have harmed children and have poisoned the air, the food, the water, the medicine, and everything? Well, they will be held accountable. I mean, there's no way to avoid what you've done, but we must forgive them and send them into the light. We can't move up into 5D and higher timelines if we're still judging the Faucis and the Klaus Schwabs and all this. Believe me, there's no way you can harm that many people and not have accountability. Our job, I don't like that word, our invitation is to heal ourselves and then to just send energy to any of those mirrors. Because anybody that's harming other people, they got hurt or programmed or something.
Right, right.
And maybe they're just these other races or entities that feel like they have the right to enslave us and to feed off of our energy. Well, then we send them light, but you can no longer come into my field or my frequency. I do not consent. And there's a lot of great short mantras to clear anything that may be manipulating you or your energy that you may or may not know about.
Right.
So anyway, I came to Thailand. Thailand's been so good to me. I love the people here. I still hardly speak any Thai after 8 years, but I know how to say, hello, how are you? You're beautiful. How much does it cost? Thank you. And then I use Gaggle Translate to, translate whatever I need. And I'm really grateful for that. It's just so peaceful here.
Oh, that's
really,
I'd love
people are really, people are in their hearts here because they're Buddhist and they don't really question everything. So they believe the Tell-I vision. So that's why a lot of people went and got the jabs and the boosters and all that. But, we're all on our own journeys. So I just love the Thai people and I love to go out, and I've made it, since I really don't speak the language that much, I make it my goal when I'm riding around on my scooter every day to go out for my nature rides and to go out and help the doggies, the wild doggies, that I make sure that I smile at everybody and I nod my head with respect. And so everybody that sees me probably hasn't had a conversation with me, but they know there's that guy. He's always smiling. And so now people are nodding at me and smiling at me. And I'm like, I don't even know if I know her, but I know why that's happening, because that's the frequency that I hold. And again, it's not because I'm so great or holier than thou from anybody. I just respect people and I understand that everybody's our mirror. But nobody can come into my frequency and walk on me or take advantage of me. If I have a lesson to learn, then I find the gift. But Thailand is a very loving frequency country. Now, if you go to Bangkok, I'm in northern Thailand, up outside of Chiang Mai. If you go to Bangkok, there's some drama and there's some games going on and all those frequencies. I don't choose to really be in that. I'm out here in nature every day, and that's where I choose to live. And I don't have any desire to go back and live in a big city ever again. No. I'm happy to visit, but no, I'm living life on my own terms here. I'm as free as I've ever been. I wake up every morning and I get to choose what I'm going to do. And what I choose is nature, music, art, taking people through this process and aligning with people all over the world that came here to create, to put our heads together, which is why I created that next level manifestation group that's going to launch next week. So
wonderful. Well, I wanted to go back to something to get a little more detail from you on the self-love aspect, because I think that is, in my experience, is the key to the transformation with an unlimited mindset. Because if you don't have the self-love, which we were taught was selfish, but if you don't have the self-love, you really can't love another, nor can you really heal yourself without it. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. That is number 4 on the daily tracking sheet of things that I have people do every day. And this is another great point that you brought up, because this is the one thing that receives the most resistance. I have people look in the mirror and do mirror gazing deeply into their eyes every day and tell themselves how much they love themselves. And in the beginning, when I used to do this, I would go, I love you, Jeff. And Larry, I have everybody name their ego as well when they go through the course. I name my ego Larry. The ego's not bad, okay, people? It gets a bad rap. It's part of the program that is necessary to facilitate thinking and deciding and manifesting or projecting what we haven't healed yet or whatever, but it's not bad. But when you name it, I first named Larry because Larry was the judgeaholic, which I was taught to be in Catholic school. Larry was holding shame, guilt, lack. And so I named him so I could see him. So when I first started doing the mirror exercises, I was like, I love you, Jeff. And the message that would come back would go, no, you don't. You're just saying that because somebody told you to try this, to do this but you've done all this stupid shit. You've hurt people. You've drank alcohol, you've done drugs, you've masturbated, which is totally evil compared to the Catholic Church, even though all the priests are doing all this shit to all these children and da. So I'm like, I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. And the more that I've done this inner journeying and used these tools of uncovering all my triggers and stuff and thank them, now I really do love Jeff. He's a really cool dude. He really is. And he still gets triggered once in a while, and he, but he really focuses on where is my frequency right now all day long. And I am in the position where I get to be in nature and be with myself pretty much all day long. And so I focus on, how can I raise my conscious awareness? Is there anything else to heal or clear? How can I do this? How can I inject my kindness into people? There's women here that are sitting at these tables in the hot sun. They're 70, 80, 90, 100 years young. Never use the word OLD. It programs your subconscious in the opposite way. I also teach people to play with reversing aging, speaking to your cells. That's number 2 on the daily tracking sheet of this process. When you start to go through it over and over and over each day, and it's really easy. There's nothing hard or difficult about it. Then you just start to go, oh, this works. This stuff works. And then you go through 30 days or maybe 90 days with me. And then some people will reach out to me 6 months later and go, my stuff's coming up again. And I go, when did you stop using the daily tracking sheet? They're like, oh yeah, I need to print some more out and go through it. Well, I segued too quickly, but these women, Thai women, beautiful women and men that are sitting at these hot tables in the sun all day selling their mangoes and papayas and all their fruits and vegetables and whatever it is, they're just sitting there doing that day after day after day after day. That is their life. They're in like service. And so I just give them love and I do my best to make them laugh and smile. And just because they're serving me, they're so wonderful. So yeah, so again, self-love is the most important aspect of healing that there is. And forgiveness. And here's a really easy thing to do, to forgive. I hear people that are still talking about when they come and do a session with me, my father did this to me when I was a child, and now they're 76 years young. And I'm like, would you like to clear that? They're like, I don't know. I'm not sure, because that's been my story for 7 decades. So I don't really know who I'd be if I let go of that story. I'm like, I'll ask you again. Would you like to free yourself and heal?
Gosh.
They're like, I'm like, okay. What if I told you that you agreed to that as part of your soul contract? Could you at least be a little bit open to it, even though your mind tells you that you would never agree to something that was that painful and that horrible. I understand. But do you want to free yourself and heal? Yes. Okay. You chose that. So I'm going to give you the get out of hell solution. Tell them that you forgive them, whether they're still alive or not.
That's right.
Forgive them. Forgive them. And then do you know how you can tell if you've truly thanked or forgiven them? Because I know people that say, well, I've forgiven, but I'll never forget. That's the ego saying, I know I'm supposed to forgive, but I really haven't. So I'm still holding all those frequencies within. So I'm going to continue to attract the wrong guys in relationships or women or whatever. And I'm still going to keep attracting situations that are going to give me the opportunity to forgive. How do you know if you've truly forgiven? When you can thank them for perfectly playing their role as part of your agreed upon soul contract.
Well, and when you think about it and it doesn't bring up the story anymore. So even if you're not actively thanking them, but you're just saying, well, that's what it was, rather than so
because I don't tell people that have been raped or molested to thank somebody. But if you really desire to do this type of work and go help other people, because I mean, it's the people that have been through the deepest stuff that can really go help the other people. Because you can read whatever you want in a book about, how to heal or do EFT tapping, money comes to me easy and effortless. Never worked for me because nobody taught me how to go in and clear the lack subconscious belief. When you've gone through all this stuff, the best thing you could ever do is to go share it with other people and hold them in a compassionate, loving, non-judgmental space and go, I understand because I've been there. And they're like, oh my God, you're just meeting me on this frequency where you're not judging me or anything. And I feel safe. And now I can just clear this stuff.
Perfect.
Really cool.
Very cool.
So thank you for all these wonderful questions. And I know we're probably at the end of it.
I want to share, we're going to have to wrap up soon. So I want to share your website real quick so people know to go. Jeff, tell them what your website URL is.
So it's portal2awakening.com, and it's TO spelled out instead of the number 2. Portal to Awakening. You can see it up there above the little hearts and wings, my logo. And then my YouTube channel also is youtube.com/portal2awakening, the same thing. And I've got 300 hours of free videos where I talk about this process over and over and over that you can check out at any time if you'd like to.
And this is the fantastic book that I wanted to make sure that you knew. All you have to do is go to his website and you can get the PDF if you want. And you'll see that this
comes with the tracking sheet. It comes with it as a PDF download.
But this is life-changing work where you can change your own self-talk. And you do get the benefit of, because Jeff is available to help and support you, you do have the benefit of being in a group with him or working with him as your mentor. And you can see this is somebody that's going to help you help yourself, but not in a slow, painful storytelling way. It'll just get done. And then you can have the freedom and love. So here's some other testimonials, and you can sign up for the newsletter here. So I want to make sure people know to go to portal2awakening.com and find out about waking up in the dream, because this is the time. This is the perfect time to do it.
I wanted to share one thing before we go, and thank you so much for that. You're amazing, and you hold amazing space and all the gifts that you have that you're here to share with the planet. I just created another private group. I mostly work one-on-one with people, but I've been guided to create a private group, so I have. It's going to launch next week, the first week of July. If you don't get in right away, you could come in later, but I'm going to cap it at 20 people. It's called the Next Level Manifestation Think Tank. And what we're going to do is a little different than the other groups I've done in the past. We're going to go through the book and the tracking sheet and the trainings first off, so everybody understands how to do the inner healing and consciously and intentionally create their reality. And everybody's at different levels, so they'll all get gently mirrored and supported by their peers. But we're also going to, when I say next level think tank, we're going to be focusing on creating the New Earth timelines and putting all of our unique gifts and intentions together, because what's going to be revealed over the coming weeks and months is going to be absolutely mind-blowing. It's going to be shocking to some people that have been watching the news and haven't been willing to really look at what's been done to us. But also, there is so much support and so many energies that are coming in, that all these new technologies, med beds, just patents that have been hidden from us about free energy. We're not going to have to pay to live on the planet anymore. All these illegal systems. The Constitution was hijacked in 1871. Every single judge and court and contract is going to be null and void. IRS is already disbanded. Don't pay any more taxes if you're getting, just don't do it. Trust me. Trust me. Do whatever you feel you need to do, but it's all illegal. And there's going to be so many good things revealed that this group is really going to be next level. And I put every bit of my enthusiasm and intention. I've got so many things to share that is going to get people to go, wow, we truly are unlimited. Because most people are not creating from an unlimited mindset. They're creating from their belief system. And a lot of people, when I talk about on my lives about all the amazing stuff happening and the money that's coming to us from our birth certificate in capital letters that's been sold on the stock market, we've got millions of dollars coming to us. And I know many people are going to go, I'll see it when I believe it, which is the exact opposite wrong way to program your reality.
Well, this is what I'm hoping that people will watch this more than once so that they can catch it all and get your book and consider being in your group, because you guys, this is why we came. We didn't come to be victimized. We came to turn the ship around. And if you can hear what Jeff's talking about, he's found a way to be excited about the future and to serve from a highest place he can from his gifts. And we all have that opportunity. So this is another example of what you can do if you are giving yourself the chance to be the genius that you are and live from here instead of just here. There's a whole new world that's going to be built. So thank you, Jeff, so much. We'll have to do this again. As usual.
People, if you have any doubts about, you think it's so hard to figure out how to wake up and all this stuff, it's not that difficult. It's just you weren't taught for good reason in school and other places. And your parents, maybe they did know, but my parents didn't know. They were focused on work and they did the best they could. And that was part of their soul contract. But I'm telling you, you follow this process, and you can do another process if you want, if this doesn't resonate with you. But I promise you, you spend 30 days doing this and just tracking the automatics, you're going to start clearing decades of stuff so quick. It's not going to take you 30 plus years like it did for me. I see people through the process every month. It's accelerated. So if you're into accelerated, instead of waiting another few decades or having to come back and live another life incarnation going through this again, this stuff works. It does. And so it's an invitation. And I'm just so grateful to Kathy and the other people that have been interviewing people like myself and sharing this stuff, because it's time. It's time to get excited. Get excited.
Well, there's other people that have already taken the path to freedom. And so you get to pick who you connect with, and their frequencies closer to yours that you trust and want to take the journey with. But you wouldn't be experiencing this if it wasn't your soul nudging you. So anyway, so Jeff, we are going to wrap it up. Thank you so much. Thank you, dear.
And onward. And thank you, everybody, for watching. If you feel like somebody you know might benefit or get some little aha moments out of this, please share it. And
yes.
Yeah, and I'll see everybody out in the field. Exciting times coming.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Please share. Thank you.